Welcome back, everyone. I'm Eric from Rare Candy, and today we're going to be taking a look at Silverlands and Jet Black Spirit, the new sets that just got revealed in full for Japan. So these actually should make up the rest of our cards that are going to make up Chilling Rain. We already had the Mattress Fighter set get revealed in Japan. That, with this, plus maybe a couple of others, should make up the rest of the cards, like I said, that will be in our next official set. So we have a good bit of cards to go through here. As you can see, we have two kind of mini sets. I think they each have around like 70-ish cards. So good bit of stuff to go through. But today, these are largely just going to be kind of my initial knee-jerk reactions to these cards. Obviously, whenever I get done with my full set review, I'm going to have more detailed, coherent thoughts there. But today, just going to give you some of my initial first impressions of these new cards. But let's get into it. Hopefully, there's some cool stuff in here. Okay, so we have Abomasnow. Has the ability, as long as this Pokemon is in play, the maximum HP of your single strike Pokemon, excluding Abomasnow, is increased by 50, and you can't use more than one of these abilities at a time. Okay, I mean, that's actually like kind of cool. I mean, think of Urshifu or single strike Urshifu that can bump us up to 380 effectively maximum HP. That's pretty nice, especially since we are damaging ourselves. The homie T-Tar gets buffed up to 280. With a Cape of Toughness, that's 330, so Tyranitar B actually gets a little bit tankier as well. I mean, this is a stage 1, so it's hard to say if this is going to be easily slide into your single strike decks. I think another issue for a lot of the single strike decks is they really want a thick line of Houndoom and a lot of Houndooms in play, and by having this Abomasnow, that means one less bench spot in decks that are, you know, trying to fit a ton of stuff on their bench already. So not sure if this guy's going to see play or not, but the ability is at least pretty decent though. Okay, we have ourselves a Serena. Okay, we have 2 colorless energy, 10 plus 50 for each energy, and the retreat cost of your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's definitely my type of card right here. I was a big fan of the Tangrowth deck back during the Cosmic Eclipse format. I was one of the people who kind of helped popularize that, so a part of me definitely is happy to see a card like this. It's basically kind of just Milotic's attack also that we have right now. So we still have Absol in the format right now, which can increase retreat costs, and we still have Galarmine as well. So there is a world where you can get this up and running, but this is a stage 2. We still have Tangrowth and also Probopass and Milotic V still in the format. All those cards are going to be easier to get going than this guy. So I'm not sure if Serena's going to be worth it because it's a stage 2, but I mean, this attack isn't bad. It's just we have the same attack on cards that are easier to get set up. I know in the case of Probopass and Tangrowth both, they do slightly less damage, but I don't know, maybe it'll be worth the extra speed of not having to run things like rare candies. So, I don't know. I'll probably mess around with this card. I don't have high hopes though. So we have Zarude, okay. Has the Clan Summoning Song. Search your deck for a grass Pokemon, but if it's your first turn going second, you can search for 3 instead, okay. And then 60 plus 20 for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. Okay. This actually could be a potentially cool Pokemon for after Rowlet and Alolan Executor rotates. This could be a nice way at maybe setting up Rillaboom decks. Because previously you would choose to go second, or I mean currently I guess technically you would choose to go second and just immediately evolve with Super Growth, but you know, in a format without that, but still having things like Turf Field and such, you could definitely set up your board pretty decently on your second turn if you don't get Marnie. So this could actually be a decent Pokemon for Rillaboom decks, maybe in a post-rotation format. Initially though, I mean, I don't have a lot of high hopes for this thing. You know, we'll have to look through the rest of these sets, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head at least that just really wants a ton of grass Pokemon immediately outside of Rillaboom. Alright, we have some cast forms, not a Pokemon we see very often, but has the ability Forecast. If you have 8 or more stadiums and discard, ignore all energy. Okay, so this is kind of like the Rotoms that we had back during the Sun and Moon era, had very similar ability, but was for Pokemon Tool cards, I believe it was. So I'm assuming we're going to have a couple of these cast forms in this set, so definitely curious to see what the rest of these do. This one, 150, discard a stadium and play in order to use the attack. This is a decent one. Fire type, obviously we can one-shot Zacian, so this guy is already, you know, at least kind of worth considering in your theoretical cast form deck, I guess. So we'll have to keep our eye on the other ones, but could be a cool mechanic. We have a ton of ways to discard cards right now, so these might be a decent little single prize deck. Alright, so Volcanion finally gets its own Pokemon V here. It's a single strike card. Okay, that is important to note. So fire type, Heat Blast 50, and then Dynamite Tackle does 100. And if this Pokemon has 10 or more damage counters on it, it does 150 more. Okay. I mean, we need fire energy though, which is kind of crappy to be honest. Like for single strike Pokemon, we really want them to have fighting, dark, or colorless attack costs. Needing fire means we have to play Welder, which is fine. I mean, Welder's still a good card. We can play it. Probably just play like 4 Welder, a bunch of fire energy, and 4 single strike energies to kind of make up the damage a little bit. I don't know. This doesn't seem great though. Single strike Pokemon that can't use single strike energy as like effectively. I mean, I guess you could play Houndoom to find your single strike energies for when you need them as well. So, getting 10 damage counters on this guy also could be annoying. I'm saying I don't like Volcanion right now. I wish this was 10 damage, not 10 damage counters. But this could be a mistranslation. I mean, that is important to point out. These are not the official English translations just yet, guys. But right now, not crazy about this. But maybe there will be something in this set that will allow us to easily get these damage counters on this guy. We'll see. Okay, so we have a single strike Cinderace line. I'm hyped for that. I'm a big fan of Cinderace. I was Team Score Bunny in the video games, and Cinderace from Sword and Shield base set is actually one of my favorite single prizers that we have. This Score Bunny actually not too bad. Just fire for 1 to do 20. Oh no, there is another one that we have right now that's 30 for 1. So actually, this is probably not better in non-single strike decks. But let's see Cinderace. Single strike Pokemon, so of course you have to keep that in mind. This Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active for each prize card your opponent has already taken. Okay, so that's cool. Kind of a nice little comeback mechanic built into this card. Then Fire Colorless 150 can't attack during your next turn. It's fine. Cinderace is probably getting knocked out after you attack with this anyways. So yet again, kind of annoying. We have a card that needs additional energy acceleration to get powered up in a single turn, which means we need to play either Houndoom or we need to play Welder, because if your only Cinderace with energy goes down, you need a way to get fire and ideally a single strike energy. So either one of those ways is fine. Maybe Houndoom might be what I'm leaning towards, just because guaranteeing the single strike energies to do more damage seems really good, because 150 is an okay number, but really once you get up into 170 territory is where this card gets a little bit more interesting, because that 2-shots everything in the format really. I'll be covering this on the channel eventually. One of my more favorite single prize cards we've looked at so far. Alright, so we have the Snowy Cast Form. Yet again, same ability, and this guy does 120. Can't use this attack on the next turn. 120 is like okay, I suppose. It's not a good 2-shotting number. We really want to be hitting for like 160 at the minimum. This is a 3-shot against VMAXs. But, I mean, if you're playing the theoretical cast form deck, you'd still play this regardless, just to maybe hit 220 on things like Victini and Centiskorch. So you'd still probably play in the theoretical deck. We just need, again, just keep these in mind as we're looking through the set. Could be a cool 1 prize deck if the rest of these cast forms are decent. Alright, so you have a new Frostlass. Once during your turn, whenever you play this card to evolve, you may search your discard pile for a water energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon. Okay. Actually not too bad, I have to say. You know, if you don't want to play Frostmoth and you want to play like a scoop up net engine, this actually seems like kind of okay. Like, I think of a Pokemon like Inteleon VMAX. That's a Pokemon where, like, really you don't want to have to play Frostmoth, because like Lapras VMAX, for example, you kind of like Frostmoth because you want to just keep piling on energy and energy until you can just one-shot everything. And Teleon's a little bit different. Like, once you get 3 energy in play on it, you really don't need any more. So a card like this might even be better for a deck like that, or at the very least, if you're playing a deck that attacks for 2 attachments, that's definitely a deck you would never really want to use Frostmoth with. You might have to out of necessity, but I think there's a world where this could be interesting. Now, if I remember correctly, I think there is kind of like a water version of Welder coming out in the same set, so this might get overlooked, but the upside to this, you can play it with the Scoop Up Net engine. So, and you can actually attach this to non-water Pokemon. So I actually kind of like Frostlass. I'm not sure where it's going to land, but I think this ability is kind of good enough potentially. So I'm like cautiously optimistic for this one. Alrighty, getting into one of the big mascots, we have the Ice Rider Calyrex line here. Even this first one isn't awful, and we'll say the art on this actually does look pretty good. I do like the way, oh god, I have no idea what this horse's name is. I know this is Calyrex. I have no idea what this thing is called though, but I do like the illustration on this. Appreciation for the art there, but 200 discard 2, not awful. That's going to be a one-shot on Water Week Pokemon VMAX, so that could be okay. But of course we do have a VMAX, which is going to be the more interesting card. So let's see. Oh, doing a point. These things are weak to metal, so rip. But yeah, let's see what this thing does. So 2 colors, 10 plus 30 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Okay, kind of cool. If your opponent has what 5 bench Pokemon, you're doing what 160. Okay, it's a 2-shot. Second attack for 2 water. Discard up to 2 energy from this Pokemon. If you do this, 120 more for each energy you discard. Okay, okay. So 250 is what you cap out at. I mean, it seems okay. You can play this with Frostlass. You know, we're going to discard our energy, so Frostlass can get them back. 250 is like 250 for 2 is actually very reasonable. Like, we have some other Pokemon VMAX that hit around this amount for like 4 energy or so, which is not too good, but this is actually pretty manageable. I think between Frostlass and or the new Water Welder, you can actually probably chain this back to back. Again, your issue is you're weak to metal, so you need something to deal with that. We still have weakness card energy, so you can play that. Unfortunately, though, weakness card energy does not work with this second attack, but it's going to have to be okay. That's what we got to work with right now, guys. But yeah, this guy actually seems pretty reasonable. I think you can chain this attack over and over. Alright, so we have Galarian Rapidash V. So 2 colors, put damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon until it has 100 HP remaining. It's actually kind of cool that this does work even on Pokemon on the bench, so I do like this. That second attack for 2 Psychic, 60 plus 30 more for each energy on your opponent's active. Not too great there. If they have 3 energy though, let's see, that'd be 90, 21, 50. So not even a one-shot if they have 3 energy. So yeah, not crazy about this thing. Yeah, seems pretty bad. Sorry, Rapidash. Okay, next up we have a card that I almost overlooked that I'm actually pretty stoked for, and that's actually going to be Celia. We do have a Gardevoir and Gallade in this set as well, but Celia, I almost scrolled past this thing, but this is actually pretty sick. So for a Psychic Energy, search your deck for 3 Pokemon named Celia, put them on your bench. So this is just water duplicates from the old Frogadier, but for Celia's, which is really awesome. So I definitely really appreciate this. Anything that helps us cheat evolutions and play, definitely a good thing, especially when they are single prize evolutions like Gardevoir and Gallade. So really stoked on this Celia, but I mean, this card is really only as good as the quality of Gardevoirs and Gallades that we have. We do have some others in format, so I'll have to go back and probably check those to see how they stack up, but hopefully these new ones are pretty good. So we have Gardevoir. This one, I do remember, got revealed like the day before or day of all of these cards got revealed in full. But yeah, so Gardevoir has an ability, once during your turn, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose a number of basic energy you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon any way that you like. Put the other cards in your hand. So this ability, I think, is actually really good. Problem, it's on a stage 2. But okay, let's check its attack here. 3 for 60, plus 30 for every Psychic Energy attached to this Pokemon. I want to like this card so much because I love the Celia. I love this ability. It's like a built-in consistency booster for your deck. But I'm gonna say the same thing about this card that I said about Kingdra whenever I was reviewing that back in our Battle Style set reviews. The issue with cards like these stage 2s that do more damage for every energy attached is that, you know, they're stage 2, fairly low HP. 140 HP is not a whole lot. And the issue is you're going to pile a bunch of energy on Gardevoir. It's just going to go down on the next turn. and then you have to somehow rebuild a ton of energy onto another stage 2 attacker that again is just going to fall on the following turn too. So I think, you know, Kingdra sort of mitigates this by having a good ability. I mean, Gardevoir's also does kind of remedy this, but not enough. I mean, if we have 3 psychic energy, I think honestly that's all you're going to be able to afford to get on your Gardevoirs. I mean, that's okay, but guys, are we really playing a stage 2 deck just to do 150? I really want to like this card so much, guys. I mean, we have EXP share, that does help, but this is so frustrating. I mean, there are other things we can do, like we have a Rangaroo, so we can put psychic energy on top of our deck to accelerate with this ability. I'm probably still going to build a deck with this just because it's my play style. I really enjoy cards like this, but man, this not quite where it needs to be competitive. All right, we have Bayonet, and man, just want to give quick appreciation for the artwork. This thing looks amazing. Really love this. And this is a single strike card, but yet again, not really doing us any favors because we can't actually attack with single strike energy. So it's kind of like, what's the point? But anyways, so Bayonet has an attack 20, put up to 7 damage counters on this Pokemon. Just 20 for each one you placed in this way. Okay, so this is basically just like the Frostlass from Unified Minds. If we do put 7 on this guy, I mean, we'll be at what, 140? I mean, that's a decent number right now against things like Mewtwo and MewGX. But yeah, after tag teams rotate as well, this gets a lot worse. Just because your numbers you're going to be hitting for are going to be around 220 or about 320. So if we get some good Psychic Week 2 prizers, maybe this attack could be good, but I'm also just trying to think, is there any world where the single strike matters? I mean, maybe we still just play Houndooms just to, as a way of increasing our damage output with this. I don't know, guys. This seems like a card that would have potential, but maybe there's something in this set that's going to help these like weird single prizers that can't, or weird single strike Pokemon that can't abuse single strike energy. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled, but yeah, I really do want to like this card. But nevertheless, I mean, the artwork, if nothing else, is absolutely amazing. I love the way this thing looks. All right, so next up we have our Gallade, 170 HP, so definitely a little bit tankier than the Gardevoir we looked at. Let's see, 60 damage, goes through resistance, don't care about that. Okay, now Dynablade is actually like kind of okay. 60 for every Pokemon V your opponent has in play. So, I mean, this could easily run through an Eternatus. So, I think no matter what, if you're playing a hypothetical Gardevoir deck, you're playing this in some count. Maybe like 3 Gardevoir, 2 Gallade or something like that. Doesn't seem bad. Especially as we do move more and more into like a post-rotation format where decks aren't playing Dedennes, they're playing more copies of Crobats and Eldegoss. This actually could be a card that gets progressively better. So, yeah, I actually do kind of like this Gallade. All right, next up, guys, we have Lykan Rock here. This was one that did get revealed a little bit early on, so I do kind of remember this one. It's kind of like a new version of Vespiquen. But has just 1 attack, 2 fighting energy, 80 plus 10 more for each single strike Pokemon in your discard piles. That's what's up, guys. I mean, we've seen a couple of these styles of attacks in recent sets. Like there is a Hatterene, I believe, in a set not too long ago that was like 10 times the amount, which is absolute garbage on a stage 2. Whereas this is 80 plus. This is really where these attacks should be for today's state of the game. And on top of that, we can play single strike energy with this. Is great. So we can probably just play 4/4 Lykan Rock, 4/4 Houndoom, toss away the excess Houndooms. We have Tower of Darkness to keep discarding our Pokemon as well. And yeah, we have plenty of ways at discarding stuff. So I actually really do like this Lykan Rock. This is probably one of the better single prize cards we've looked at so far in the set. Fighting weakness also is a good thing to hit for against things like Pikarom still and Eternatus. So I actually like this guy. I'm a little bit enthusiastic to try to build around this thing. All right, so we have Sandaconda VMAX, but we do have a new Sandaconda V as well. So let's see, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks, and then Land Crush for 140. So I definitely think the other Sandaconda is probably a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, the only reason you would ever really play this one is if you're not really planning on attacking with Sandaconda and you just want to survive like Brave Blade, essentially. before you get your VMAX out, this could be worth playing, but I think otherwise the other one's a little bit better. Just because it has a single energy attack that can accelerate energy as well. So you have to pick and choose, but this could be good if you're purely just trying to survive. But we have Conda VMAX here. Okay, 320 HP. Sand Pulse 60 does 20 to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Could definitely be a good card against things like Mad Party, stuff like that. Then Gmax Cyclone 180, move any number of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon any way that you like. So there is actually a world where this could be good. Like, I think the play that people will probably have in mind is if you set up a couple of Sandacondas, you get off your attack, move all of your energy to your second Sandaconda, your opponent swings on the active, doesn't knock it out, and you Cheryl, and then switch into your other one and keep going. I think that's where you would probably, or how you'd probably try to build this. I would imagine that's kind of like my knee-jerk reaction for this. I mean, if you're playing a fighting VMAX though, guys, I mean, are you playing something that isn't Rapid Strike Urshifu? I don't know. I think we actually have a good bit of solid fighting VMAXs right now. We have, of course, Rapid Strike Urshifu, but Single Strike one is still solid, and Colossal is also still solid. So a lot of competition for this guy, and might get pushed out as a result, but it's an okay card. Not the worst, but definitely not great either, though. All right, we have a Slowking, Galarian Slowking to be specific. This one did get revealed ahead of time, so you can choose a Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, heal 90 from that Pokemon. If tails, place 3 damage counters on that Pokemon. I mean, if we're trying to tank, Slowking is definitely an option. I mean, it's a coin flip though on a stage 1, so it's hard to make the argument for this guy. Like, I'm just trying to think what we would go all in on and try to tank with. I mean, I think we have so many other decent healing cards right now, we might not need this. Like, we have Cheryl, Mallow and Lana, even Hyper Potion, stuff like that. In DDV as well. I don't know. I could see a world where you try to play this. I mean, this does stack. So you set up, like, in theory, 4 Galarian Slowking, you can heal like an absolute mountain of damage, which seems kind of cool. This seems more like a meme to me initially, though. Not great, but has some potential, though. All right, so you have a Single Strike Quillfish, definitely a Pokemon we don't see too often, so hopefully this guy is good. Has an ability, if this Pokemon is your active and is knocked out by damage, put 6 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Okay, then Poison, I think it's supposed to be Poison Jab, not Poison Job, but 30, your opponent's active is now poisoned. Not too great, I have to say, but you could also play it with Houndoom and Single Strike energies to increase your damage output. You probably just play like Quillfish, Houndooms, and like Toxicroak. But if you're doing all that, there's better stuff to play with Houndoom, so probably a pass. I'm not a big fan of Quillfish. Alright, so next up we have Lyperd V, and again, another card we just want to appreciate the artwork for. This thing looks amazing here. But again, this one did get kind of revealed ahead of time, so another one I am a little bit already familiar with. But it has an ability, whenever you bench it from hand, you may discard a Pokemon tool card attached to any Pokemon in play. So this definitely could be good for something like Eternus, just because, you know, a lot of X, I just prefer something like Tool Scrapper, but Eternus wants extra Pokemon play anyways, so this could be a nice way at filling your bench, doing more damage, and also removing some tool cards in the process. But I mean, decks other than Eternus definitely could play this as well, but I think that's going to be the main one going forward. So yeah, Lyperd V seems good. Does have an attack, Dark to Colorless 110, and then you can return it, all cards attached to its hand. So has some synergy there with its ability, but again, more than likely, this is just going to be like a one-up in Eternus decks. All right, so we have Tauros here. Tauros Single Strike Pokemon. Colorless attack cost, hey, that is good. That's one thing I've been kind of whining about so far in this first impressions video, but 20 plus 20 for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and this Pokemon is now confused. Okay, that's what's up. So this is actually really the type of card we want to see for Single Strike Pokemon, because of course whenever we accelerate energy to them with Houndoom, we're going to do damage to them, and that's pretty good. So I mean, I feel like your deck here is almost kind of like the Primate deck, but you're just kind of going all in on Tauros instead, and you're freeing up some bench or some deck space since you don't play a stage 1. This actually probably doesn't hit as hard as consistently as Primate does, though, because you'd still have to play Spirit Tombs and Jinx and stuff like that. So 2 Houndooms, it's 4 damage counters, that's 80, you're creeping up there. I think it's going to be kind of difficult to break 200 with this card, though. Because if you lose a Tauros, cobbling together your next Tauros could be kind of tricky. So maybe this even could just be kind of like a one-of in like a Primate deck or something like that. I don't know. I think this card is okay. If there's a way to keep getting more damage counters. I mean, we have Spike Myth as well, so... Spike Myth, bunch of switching cards. Maybe this is just like a backup attacker in the Spirit Tomb deck. I don't know, guys. I'm scratching my head where to place this thing, but it's an okay card. It's probably not quite as good as some of the other single strike cards, though, so we'll have to see, but interesting if nothing else. All right, we have a Poryanzi. Very interesting artwork on this guy here, but looks pretty cool. But once during a turn, when you attach energy from hand, you may leave your opponent's active confused. And then 170 discard 2 energy. So, I mean, effectively, this is you attach a triple excel, confuse them, do 170. Not awful. 170 is a good number. 2 shots everything in the game. You don't hit anything for weakness, though. That's an issue. Now, you only have 4 triple acceleration energy, so you could play the other Poryanzi with this, but that seems kind of clunky, playing like the multiple stage 2s. Yeah, probably not good enough. I mean, it's a perfectly fine, serviceable card, but it's just not good enough to be competitive, unfortunately. All right, guys, we have Single Strike Tornadus V. So blow through 20, plus 20 if there's a stadium. Okay. So with a Single Strike energy, 60 for 1 can be okay, I guess. Then 180 discard energy from this Pokemon. Second attack and not too special. But we do have a VMAX, so hopefully this guy is a little bit more interesting. So Wind Blast 60, nothing too special. Then another 4 energy attack. 120 if there's a stadium in play, does 120 more. Then discard that stadium. I'm not too hype about this one, guys, I do have to say. I mean, you can play Houndoom and help get this guy set up a little bit easier. You still have to probably play something like Welder, though. More than likely to make up for your other part of your attack cost. But let's see. If you have 2 Houndooms in play with 2 single strike energies, you're hitting for 120, 240, 260, 280 maybe. Yeah, if I'm getting 4 energy on a single strike Pokemon, I think it's going to be Urshifu VMAX. Single strike Urshifu VMAX. This guy does not seem that good. Not a big fan of Tornadus. Okay, getting to the trainer cards for the first set here. We have Survival Kit. Look at the bottom 3 cards. Place them on top of your deck in any order. Okay, so it's like not quite a draw card, but it kind of is in a way. So I think you would, in theory, want to play this to Marnie-proof yourself a little bit. I don't know if you're committing the deck space to this, though. That's kind of the issue. Like, I guess maybe if you're a deck that really gets hurt by Marnie in particular, and you're playing Rotom Phones, maybe you just play this instead, because you could still do the whole combo with a Oranguru where you rearrange the top card of your deck, draw into it with Primate Wisdom. So there is like a small chance I think this could see play. Kind of, again, for a very similar reason as Rotom Phone has seen play in select decks. That's where I'm kind of at with this one. Not a card I'm super hyped for, though. All right, we have Imposing Helmet. So it's a tool card. Whenever this Pokemon, or I'm sorry, when the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active and is damaged, choose an energy attached to the attack Pokemon, return it to your opponent's hand. Okay, oh my god, this thing is... Oh, this is annoying. I can already sense I'm going to be very annoyed by this card. So you could theoretically play, like... This makes me think of the weird Crobat deck I posted the other day on the channel where we played like 4 Yell Grunt, 4 Crushing Hammer, and like Wonder Lab. I could see like playing this in addition to that stuff and just making your opponent hate their life. Oh man, this is an annoying card. I mean, it's one of these passive sort of tool cards where like your opponent could theoretically just boss around this and avoid it, or they could tool scrapper it, but there's a world this actually could see play. Like, removing energy is big, especially for decks that need multiple manual attachments like Eternatus or Dragapult. I could see how something like this would be very annoying. This card has a chance. We'll see, but yeah, removing energy is a very strong effect, so we'll have to keep our eye on this one. Okay, so we're getting another single strike scroll. This one says 120. This attacks damage isn't affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects when your opponent's active. Okay, so this could be like a Decidueye counter or like an Obstagoon counter or something like that. So single strike cards will at least have that option to them. This seems situationally okay. Oh, it needs fire energy. Thought this was fighting. That definitely is going to limit it a little bit more, unfortunately. So yeah, card just got a lot worse, but I mean, it looks like they're trying to promote a lot more of these non-fighting, non-dark single strike Pokemon. So maybe there'll be enough support to facilitate this being, you know, able to be easily powered up with. So it's an okay tool. We have Fireproof Gloves. So whenever the Pokemon this card is attached to attacks, damage done to your opponent's active fire Pokemon is increased by 30. Okay. That's kind of cool. So it's kind of like a choice band, but just for fire Pokemon. That's actually pretty nice. So, you know, we already have Struggle Gloves, which kind of does, I think, something similar, because I think you would probably play this against decks that you're weak to at the very least. So Struggle Gloves already kind of does that. Well, I guess this could make a difference if you're a deck and let's say you're just like 10 damage shy of a knockout on things like Victini VMAX. You could play something like this to kind of pick up the slack, get those one-shots. Actually playing this in something like Eternatus doesn't seem bad to be able to one-shot things like Victini and Centiskorch, because you're already hovering around that 270, 280 range with the Zigzagoons and stuff like that as well. So this actually could be decent there. Think any deck that is just shy of a one-shot. Oh, I think we have kind of a theme going. I already kind of see the next one here too. Same concept, but this time just for metal. Which is kind of cool. You know, being able to do more damage to Zacians is definitely not a bad thing. So I actually do kind of like this. I wonder, we have two sets. I'm willing to bet that they have two more of these in the other set for some other types. But these are cool. I actually kind of do like these. So again, I mean, these are the type of cards that are good, I think, in a somewhat solidified metagame. The 30 damage matters, you'll play it. So, okay, we have Flannery, another card that did get revealed early for this set, but you choose a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon and any stadium card in play and discard them. So it's kind of like Faba or Xerosic. It's probably the closest thing we've had to something like that in a while, but this is a solid card. Getting rid of special energy and stadium in particular is good. Like Xerosic, you had to pick and then actually I think Xerosic was just tool and special energy. Faba was the one that allowed you stadium. But this is good, being able to discard two of them. Really nice here. Single strike is also kind of relevant because we can discard this with Tower of Darkness. And I believe in Matchless Fighters, the last Japanese set, there was kind of like a Versus Seeker style card for single strike supporters. So yeah, I think Flannery is actually kind of okay. I do like this. So we have Doctor, draw two cards. If your opponent's active is a Pokemon VMAX, draw two more cards. Not quite. Not a big fan of this. Like, this kind of reminds me of Coach Trainer, but Coach Trainer was a little bit more reliable because tag teams, they could just be in the active and you didn't have to evolve into them or anything, whereas this is a card that really isn't good until at the very least turn 2. I think draw 4 is solid, but this is a little too situational. Okay, we got Peony. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I hope I didn't butcher that. But discard your hand and search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards or be able to put them into your hand. Okay, so this is like a strictly better version of Skyla, if Skyla is like the last card in your hand or something like that. This actually seems kind of okay. I could definitely see this being good in a deck like the... What's the card? Morpeko that we just got in Battle Styles, where it wants you to have a low hand size. There's also like a Woobat that allows you to do something similar as well. And we have Kricketune and Rose Tower as well, so I think actually playing around the discard effect isn't too bad either here. Like with Research, you don't mind discarding your hand because you're expanding your hand size so much. This, what you're getting is a lot more limited, so you probably will need something like Kricketune or Rose Tower to pick up the slack, but that's okay. I actually do kind of like this. What deck am I playing this in right now? Not sure. maybe the Lykan Rock deck we looked at already. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of concrete thoughts on this, but I do like this card. I can see a world where this does see play. Okay, here we go. This is our Water Welder. So attach a water energy from discard to one of your Pokemon, then draw 3 cards. So it is a little bit nerfed. Oh, it's to one of your Pokemon V. Okay. Oh, I see what they're doing. Alright, okay, Creatures Inc. is kind of smart here. I was like, why won't they let you attach it to single prize Pokemon? But the reason, of course, they don't want you to be able to do this on non-V Pokemon is because you could just go, alright, ADP, Melanie, attach, Ultra Creation turn 1. So actually very happy they did this. Very smart move. Not quite as strong as Welder for a few reasons. Of course, the big thing is it's only 1 water energy, but also from there has to already be in discard, which is a little bit trickier than just accelerating from hand. Now, in maybe the mid to late game, your Melanies are going to be stronger, because Welder's going to be a lot stronger in the early game, because it's going to be easy to have fire energies already in hand. But in the late game, you know, if you get reset stamped or something like that, and you have a Welder and they bump your stadium, you're in kind of a bad spot. But in the late game, a card like Melanie, it's a little bit better because by that point you kind of already have your energies in discard pile. So kind of a unique advantage there compared to Welder. So yeah, I mean, I think this card is good, especially if we get any more water Pokemon that attach or attack for just 2 attachments like we saw with the new Ice Rider Calyrex. You obviously are just going to play this and or Frost Blast in a deck like that. I mean, Welder's good, so this is good. I mean, it's almost that simple. This is a little bit weaker, so it's not probably as dominant as Welder, but I do like the card. So yeah, probably will be seeing play. All right, we got Path to the Peak. Each player's Pokemon in play with a rule box has no abilities. That's what I'm talking about. This is, if you guys know me, you know this is my type of card right here. You know I'm not a big fan of big hulking multi-prize Pokemon. So yeah, it's basically just an updated version of Power Plant. Now you will be able to shut off things like Crobat V, Eldegoss V, of course, Zacian V, Eternus VMAX, etc. Fantastic card. This actually might even be like the best card of the set we've seen so far. This is really good. So Power Plant seen play forever up until this point. For obvious reason, I don't think this is going to be any different. So yeah, absolutely fantastic card. Big fan of Path to the Peak. Okay, next we have the first of a couple of new battle styles energies. So we have a new single strike energy, but this one's called Impact Energy. So it provides any type of energy here without the discarding effect of Aurora Energy, but also it can't be poisoned. And if it's already poisoned, it no longer is. So it's like a marginally better version of Aurora Energy for your single strike deck. So that's kind of cool. So it's kind of a shame Houndoom can't accelerate this thing. I think that's the big downside overall. Just because single strike energy, not only is the +20 like super relevant for math reasons, but also Houndoom can get it in play. So this is, it'd be nice if we had a way to cheat these and play it a little bit easier. But it is nice that we at least have some extra single strike energies for non-fighting, non-dark Pokemon as well. Alrighty guys, so moving on to Jet Black Spirit. Up first, we're gonna be looking at Celebi. My boy, Celebi's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. So this one did get revealed early. Still do love the artwork on this thing. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. But attach a number of grass energy from hand to your Pokemon any way that you like. So not a bad attack. I mean, would you just play this over Rillaboom? I don't know about that, but maybe if you're like a grass deck that has, you need extra attachments, but maybe you have like a 2 energy attack cost, and playing a stage 2 just seems kind of excessive for just to kind of fill that role. So maybe Celebi could be good for decks like that. I don't know. Not a bad first attack though on just a base form unevolved VMAX card though. So do like this. Decent first attack, I guess. But let's see Celebi VMAX. Whew. Oh my god, this thing looks so good. I cannot get over how good this Celebi card looks. This actually might be my favorite art of the whole set. I really hope this card is good. Celebi, I really am itching to be able to play a Celebi deck. So let's see. Healing Force. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 from each of your grass Pokemon. Okay, then 130, search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon, put them into your hand. Come on. It hurts me to say, but I don't think this card is good. It makes me so sad because this card is absolutely like A+ in terms of the art, but yeah, Celebi seems bad. Okay, so next up we have Rillaboom, Rapid Strike. Another card we did see early on. Okay, so 180 HP, pretty good on a single prize Pokemon. Let's see, Surging Beat 120, may discard any number of energy cards attached to your Pokemon in play. If you do, 30 for each card you discard in this way. Okay, so I mean, you can definitely play this with Celebi V, which we just pointed out, but more likely you would not. You would want to play this with something like Cherim or the other Rillaboom. Deck space is where I could definitely see this being kind of a struggle though, unfortunately, guys. I mean, already just getting a functioning Stage 2 deck setup is already sort of daunting enough, but then you have to fit in a Stage 1 line and a ton of energy to be able to consistently hit for a lot. Yeah, feels bad. Yeah, I don't think this card's probably very good. Okay, so we have a Rapid Strike Weavile. It's going to be Water type too. So let's see, 2-hit KO if the defending Pokemon takes damage from one of your Rapid Strike Pokemon during your next turn. It is knocked out. Well, that would be good if every deck didn't play Force Switch. So next, I mean, it's kind of what it comes down to. Nasty Plot, search your deck for 2 cards, and then you just get more needs. So why is this a Hollow? This card's so bad. Not too good as a result. All right, so we have Cast Form, Rainy Form. Okay, now we have a Spread Cast Form, 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Not quite enough. I really don't like this attack, to be honest, guys. 20 is just not enough when you have Pokemon with like 300 plus HP. This really needed to be like 50 or something like that to really make a dent. Now, what would be great, we haven't got to the end of this set yet, but what would be great is since we got the, where is it, the Power Plant reprint updated, I would love to get like a Shrine of Punishment reprint updated for Pokemon V. That'd be great. So that would maybe pair nice with our cast form. So I have my fingers crossed, so we'll see. But I haven't heard anything. Like, I haven't seen my Twitter feed blown up or my DMs about it. So I'm assuming there is no Shrine of Punishment reprint, but that would certainly help a card like this. All right, so we have Arctovish V. Let's see. 80 if the defending Pokemon is a V or GX, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. Would be good if every deck didn't play Force Switch, so not too great there. Then Giga Impact 220 can't attack during your next turn. Kind of a pass on this one. All right, we have a Rapid Strike Zebstrike. I just want to point out again, the artwork on some of these cards is absolutely sweet. This card looks great. Love this thing. Hopefully its attacks are just as good though. So you have Link Bolt, 30 plus 90 more if a Rapid Strike used an attack during your last turn. I mean, 120, not the greatest number these days to hit for. I mean, I guess like Urshifu, like Rapid Strike Urshifu's math is kind of awkward at times, so maybe there's a world you want to play this to fix some of your math a little bit, but this doesn't seem very good. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on this thing. Then 90, flip until you get tails. Nah, we ain't doing that. All right, so we have Zeraora V. I think this was actually like the first card I think revealed from this set technically. But yeah, very interesting card. Lightning 2 colorless. 100 if any of your other Rapid Strike Pokemon used an attack last turn, this does 160 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, this is actually really cool. I actually kind of do like this card. There's a couple of different ways I could definitely see you building with Zeraora here. The fact that it has 2 colorless energy really big because we can use Rapid Strike energy, and Lightning energy is really good because we can use Cocoa Prism still to get a Zeraora powered up in one turn if we do need to do that. But I could definitely see a world where you're playing a deck where you're leading with Empoleon. You attack with Empoleon, just kind of wall behind it, make sure your opponent can't use any of their one prize abilities. You move energy to your Zeraora with your Empoleon, and then you're set up ready to go after your Empoleon goes down. So that definitely seems fine. Also, I posted like a Rapid Strike Urshifu deck not too long ago that used like a Lightning Energy, Cocoa Prism sort of engine in it as well. This could definitely slot into a deck like that too. I mean, we also just have Welder, which could get this thing powered up. So I actually really do like Zeraora V. 160 is still a great number to hit for at the moment. You know, maybe once the rotation happens, this attack gets a little bit weaker. But dare I say, this attack is maybe even a little bit better than Rapid Strike Urshifu's if you ignore the good typing of Rapid Strike Urshifu. So yeah, I actually really do like this Zeraora. I definitely want to experiment with this thing. Seems like there is a chance it'll find a home. Alrighty guys, next up we have Gengar here. Gengar is going to be a stage 2. Says whenever this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your hand. Great ability. I mean, stage 2s need all the help they can get, guys. So anytime they have these sort of built-in consistency boosting effects, always something you love to see. So definitely like this. Now I do remember this attack letting me down. 3 colors energy, 10 plus 40 for every damage counter on your opponent's active. So it's a stage 2 version of Sableye V that does less damage with a higher attack cost. It annoys me to no end, like some of the card design philosophy over at Creatures Inc. sometimes. Like, yeah, you have a good ability, but they have to give you a good ability because it's a stage 2. I'm going to try to keep things a little bit PG on the channel here, but needless to say, really not a fan of some of Creatures' design philosophy for some of these cards here. But I mean, you can play this with a lot of the same stuff you play with Sableye V, Flapple, some of those things like that you cheat damage counters onto, and then come in with Gengar to clean up knockouts. I mean, Psychic type is good, so you can at the least hit a couple of popular Pokemon for weakness. So there's that, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. Alright, so we have Celia, and I do actually remember this card being pretty solid. So it's kind of like a Volcanion for Psychic Pokemon. So can't really go wrong with that. So search your deck for a Psychic Energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon, but just like with Volcanion, if it's your first turn going second, you can search your deck for 3 Psychic Energy instead. So this is really good. Psychic Pokemon have been begging for help in terms of energy acceleration. So this is going to be one of the new ways we can make that happen. And then if you have 5 or more energy in play, there's 30 plus 90. So almost a direct Psychic counterpart to Volcanion. It's like eerily similar, both these cards. So yeah, definitely going to be good. There's a lot of Psychic Pokemon right now that are just begging for help, whether it's Gardevoir VMAX, Dragapult VMAX. There's even a pretty good new Pokemon VMAX in this set that also has its own energy acceleration, so we can look out for that as well. We actually can play this with Gardevoir. I do want to point that out. Okay, so I think Gardevoir is still probably bad, unfortunately, but this is probably like your early game Pokemon you lead. This is going to be like your ideal turn 1, then turn 2 you use Curlia's attack, more than likely. That's what I'm going to go with. So yeah, Celia definitely seems like a good card. Definitely expecting that one to see play. Alright, so we have a Rapid Strike Malamar. So just 1 Psychic Energy here. You may reveal any number of Rapid Strike cards from your hand. Does 40 times the amount of cards you revealed, then shuffle those cards into your deck. I mean, the issue with this thing is that you need cards that expand your hand size. That's sort of the issue I see for this thing. Kind of like the Galarian Mr. Rhyme deck, the ball juggling deck. Good attack, and actually almost kind of the same attack, very similar amount of damage that it's going to be hitting for. But the issue is that you need supporters that expand your hand size, and there's not a whole lot of really good ones that do that. So, I mean, we have things to kind of help. Like, you could, in theory, play actually a pretty similar engine as the Mr. Rhyme deck with ball guys and stuff to search out Rapid Strike cards. Now, what is nice, though, is that it's not just Pokemon. So that means even your Rapid Strike energies, your, you know, fan of waves, all that good stuff. There's a ton of Rapid Strike cards you could be playing. This probably is going to be a little bit underpowered, though. I think it's going to suffer the same sort of issues that Mr. Rhyme does. Alrighty guys, so up next we have the Shadow Rider Calyrex evolution line, and I actually had not even read the base form, so actually curious to see what this guy's going to be up to. Okay, so for 1 Psychic Energy, 10, and your opponent can't play special energy cards or stadium cards from their hand during their next turn. That's actually a really solid attack. This actually could even be used potentially outside of a Calyrex VMAX deck just for this attack. So I actually kind of like this. But I mean, if nothing else, this is a really good attack on a VMAX pre-evolution, just to maybe try to survive for a turn or two and maybe prevent your opponent from getting set up. So yeah, definitely like that. Other attack, put 5 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Really good against one prize decks, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, more likely we're just using this to evolve though. So hopefully this attack is not going to wreak havoc on our single prize decks if possible. But Calix VMAX, yeah, this card's already been talked about a good bit in the community, but it's really solid, I think. Has this ability, once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your hand to one of your benched Psychic Pokemon, then draw 2 cards. So it's kind of like if you took Malamar, Zoroark GX, just slammed them together, that's what you get, which is honestly a really, really good ability. Then it's attack 10 plus 30 for each Psychic Energy attached to your Pokemon in play. So, I mean, the good thing about this ability, it does stack. So if you're playing a 4/4 Shadow Rider Calyrex, you're probably just playing a ton of these guys. EXP shares. I mean, you could even get crazy and play stuff like Rose and stuff like that in Cricketune if you want to go really nuts. But I think more than likely, just between Celia and like a 4/4 line of this guy, you're going to be able to chain a lot of energy into play. So I think this card is really solid. I mean, even if you just ignore this second, or the second attribute of this card, the first attack it has, and just focus on this first part, this ability, I think this card is still good. You could even still play this. Unfortunately, in decks like Dragapult, unfortunately, is going to be one of the gatekeepers of single prize decks in the post-rotation format. Currently, it looks to be. So this could help power Dragapults up a little bit easier. Dragapult, of course, the big downside to it is 2 manual attachments. If you're a deck that can just knock out Dragapult or remove those energies, it's going to be difficult for them to get going. So this even could be like a 1/1 or a 2/2 line in Dragapult decks to kind of help with that. And again, there's still other Pokemon VMAX right now that would like this. Like, I think Alchemy VMAX can be one of the better ones. I mean, we have Gardevoir as well, but Gardevoir is not, I don't think, one of the better Psychic VMAXs. But yeah, this is a slam dunk of a card. It's also weak to Dark, so you do have to keep that in mind, guys. Eternus is going to be able to nuke you, so you do have to attempt to play around that a little bit. But there's actually going to be a lot of Eternus counters in Chilling Reign, so that is the one thing you have sort of going for you. But yeah, Shadow Rider Calyrex, definitely a sick card. All right, next we actually have kind of an interesting Seismitoad. It has an attack 60. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attack cost and retreat cost are increased by a colorless. That's kind of cool. So with Crushing Hammers, Wonder Lab, stuff like that, this actually could be kind of an annoying attack. Oh wait, they can just switch out of it. So that's probably not good. Moving on, I think. All right, so we have Grapplock. This is like the 30th Grapplock card we've had since the Sword and Shield set started. Maybe this one will be good. They've been doing a horrible job printing playable ones up until this point, guys. So let's see what this one's going to do. If this is your active, your opponent's Pokemon's retreat cost increased by 2. Okay. Then fighting colorless 80. If you and your opponent have the same number of cards in hand, this 80 more. That's actually like not awful. It's not too hard to power up. I mean, this is actually kind of a cool effect. But again, if every deck wasn't playing 4 Switch, this would be much better. Like if decks were just playing stuff like Air Balloon, this would be okay. Because you could, in theory, play down Galar Mine. That's a +4 retreat cost right there. Then you still have Absols if you want to get crazier at that point. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting card. Probably not good, though. So we have 2 different Weezings in the set. These did get revealed early, so I am kind of familiar with these guys already. But Weezing here, first attack, Confusion, and then attach a Dark Energy from discard. Probably not that great though, just because Weezing only has 130 HP, meaning that it's probably just going to get knocked out on the following turn. But the second attack is a little bit more interesting. There's 20 for each Dark Energy attached to your Pokemon in play. This is kind of like Zoro Ninja's attack, but it's a little bit weaker. I think this really did need to be like 20 plus 30 or 30 plus 30. I think it's going to be maybe a little tricky to hit for the numbers that we want to, because I mean, we do have Moltres that's going to be coming out in this same set that'll help it. We have Galarian Weezing here, which also does help it, because the Weezing is going to double basically your basic dark energies. So let's say if we have, let's just say we have 4 energy in play. So it's effectively 40 for every energy. That's 160, 180. I mean, you're going to need so much energy just to take a one-shot even on 2 prize Pokemon. This doesn't seem that great, unfortunately, guys. Weezing could be, Galarian Weezing, I should say, could be good maybe in a different deck. Well, actually, no, because it's only Pokemon with Weezing in their name that it provides the extra energy for. So that's kind of annoying. I just don't think this is strong enough to build around here, especially since they share the same base form coughing. Could make your board kind of awkward. I don't know. I want to like this combo of cards, but I think it's going to be just slightly too weak. Alright, so next up we have Rapid Strike Metagross. Definitely excited to see how this guy ends up doing. Metagross is always kind of a fan favorite Pokemon. Let's see. I mean, this guy's not too great. The second attack is kind of whatever. 60 plus 90 if they have the same amount of energy. That's actually like kind of doable, but what does the VMAX do? That is the big question. Yet again, they are killing it with the art in this set. This Metagross looks sweet. Let's see, Magnetic Pull. Search your deck for 2 cards. It's actually not terrible when you have 330 HP. But let's see, Gmax Rush 100. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Gmax Rush does 150 more damage. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, what does this thing gain by being a Rapid Strike card? Like, you have Octillery, but maybe we can look at the maybe there's some trainer cards that'll help out. But I'm just thinking, like, I don't know if this is actually relevant. This attack also doesn't seem that great, I have to confess. I mean, you have a Turnus that attacks for the same amount of energy, but can cap out at 270. Whereas this you have to do 100, then do 150 more on the next turn. And that's if your opponent doesn't boss or anything. So Metagross seems bad. Am I missing something? That's actually kind of a bummer. Yeah, maybe there's something in the supporters and trainers that helps this, but yeah, kind of a letdown so far on old Metagross here. Alright, so we have Blissey V, 250 HP. That's pretty tanky on just a basic 2 prize Pokemon. But let's see. Ability, whenever you attach energy from hand, or remove all special conditions. That's fine. Then Blissey Bomber. Does 30 more for each energy attached to this Pokemon after doing damage. You may attach up to 3 energy from your discard to this Pokemon. Holy crap. Okay. That's actually kind of good. It says 3 energy cards as well. Now, if this was a Rapid Strike Pokemon, that would be nuts to be able to play Rapid Strike energy with this thing. Or maybe this is just like a 1-up in your theoretical Poryanzi Cramorant VMAX deck. You can also play Welder. I think Welder seems pretty solid with Blissey as well. I don't know. Let's actually just run through the math before I get too excited about this card. So if you have 5 energy, that's 150, 160. Okay. I take back everything I said, guys. The more I'm thinking about it, the more this card is bad. The math just doesn't work out, I think. Like, if the modifier was like maybe 10 plus 40 or 60 plus 30 or like 10 plus 50, maybe we'd be in business. But with 8 energy, you're doing 250. That's a lot to ask for. So maybe pass. Yeah, this was almost, I think, a pretty cool card, but I think we're going to skip it. All right, we have what is probably going to be the last of our cast form cards here. This one's just 80. Draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Okay, so like none of these cast forms are like super good. The Rotom deck never did a whole lot. Like all of the Rotom cards were at, I think, a similar power level for its time. And that deck really never took off. So there's a chance this might not either. So it might just be kind of a fun PTCGO meme deck that we can play around with. But yeah, these probably won't be super competitive for the moment. All right, so we have Cacquian. I do remember this one getting revealed ahead of time as well. And this one's, it's kind of interesting, but I'm not sure if I actually like it though. So it's a Rapid Strike card. That's already like kind of okay. It does gain Rapid Strike energy, Octillery, all that good stuff. But this Pokemon is the same type as the basic energy attached to it. If 2 or more types of basic energy attached, it becomes both of those types. Then just does 90. The 90 damage honestly really turned me off of this card, but that's before I knew about the gloves that we're getting in the set that can make you do more damage. So there is a world where you can do 120 and turn that into an amount to take prizes or take knockouts on like 2 prize Pokemon. Like I could see a world where if you're playing a Welder deck, just as an example, and you're playing like the metal gloves or whatever they're called to do more damage to metal Pokemon, you can do 120, Welder attach, and knock out Zacian V. That seems like kind of a cool use for this. Just to knock out like a Zacian V with like a 1 price Pokemon, that seems okay. But I mean, you can already do that with Volcanion, so maybe maybe Cactuion's not too great. I think this ability is kind of cool, but yeah, I'm not too stoked on it. Alrighty guys, I know this was a card a lot of people were freaking out over online. This was one of the cards that did get spoiled for me. I was trying to avoid reading all of the translations before doing this video, but a lot of people were talking about this guy, so I am a little bit aware of what Greedent does here. But prevent all effects of your opponent's item and supporter cards that would discard energy from your Pokemon or return energy from your Pokemon to your hand or deck. Yeah, this is like a hard counter to Crushing Hammer. A lot of people have been whining about Crushing Hammer for a little while now, and I mean, if you're that sick of it, you can always play Greedent here. Is this the best counter your deck could play for those styles of cards? So what I mean by that is, think of something like a Zacian deck. I mean, you would never really play this. You already have Metal Saucer, and if you really want additional coverage, you'd probably just play a couple copies of Turbo Patch from there. You probably would not play the Greedent here. So I think a lot of people might be freaking out about this card, but I think there are only probably gonna be a select few decks that would actually consider or should consider playing this. Again, if you're like a Welder deck, not a whole lot of reason to play this when you have really good energy acceleration built into your deck already. So, but if you're a deck like Dragapult VMAX, maybe you play something like this. But again, I mean, I guess that's another example too, where are you playing this or are you just playing like a 1/1 Calyrex VMAX for your deck instead? So we'll have to see where this card lands. It's definitely cool that they are at least giving players an option like this to counter some of these annoying energy denial cards. But Greedent, I think people should temper their expectations just slightly. Card's cool, but I don't know what decks actually are going to be able to play this thing. Alright, so up next we have Fog Crystal, absolutely sick card. Search your deck for either a basic Psychic Pokemon or Psychic Energy, reveal, put it into your hand. So this is basically just Netball for Psychic Pokemon, and Netball was one of the best Pokemon search cards we had, you know, for Grass Pokemon, of course. So this is obviously good with Shadow Rider Calyrex, just because of course this helps get your Pokemon set up, but also too in the mid game, once you have your VMAXs online, you can still use this to grab energies to accelerate with its ability. So I mean, this is a home run. This is actually probably within the top 3 best cards of the set, if not the best card. It's definitely up there, so absolutely fantastic card. And what did I tell you guys? We have some more gloves. We knew it was coming. So it looks like we have Grass and Dark. So, man, Eternus is getting the hands, literally, in this set. We've got Zapdos is going to be coming out in the same set. We have the Stadium to shut off the abilities. There's a supporter card. I forget if it's in this set or if it was in Mattress Fighters that discards bench Pokemon. And now we have this too. So, yeah, Eternus is definitely getting a lot of stuff that is annoying for it. But so I think all of these cards are cool. I just think their use is going to be very select, though. It's going to be very dependent on what decks are popular in the metagame and what the numbers are that decks are trying to hit. Next up, we have another Rapid Strike scroll. This one is Scroll of Skies. This one does require lightning energy, which is kind of annoying, but at least we can use Cocoa Prism for the moment, at least. Let's see, does 50 for each energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. It's kind of okay. More than likely, you're only going to be hitting for around 160 with this thing. So, seems okay. Nothing too special, though. Alrighty, next up, getting into some spores, we have a Caitlyn reprint. This was definitely not a reprint I saw coming at all. This was a card all the way back from Plasma Blast, I believe it was originally. So put as many cards from your hand as you like on the bottom of your deck in any order. Then draw a card for each card you put on the bottom of your deck. So I actually remember I was taking a brief break from the game during the Plasma sets, got back in around XY, and I saw this card. I was like, yo, this card seems really good. Like, are people playing this? No one was playing this card at all. And you quickly, like on paper, this seems really good, but once you dig into it, if you have like a 2-card hand, you know, with a card like Research, you just dump your hand and you have a fresh hand of 7. Whereas this, you're maxing out at 2 cards that you can draw. So I could see this being good in maybe like Shadow Rider Calyrex, for example. That's going to be a deck that is just going to be expanding its hand size, and you're not really going to research very often, or you're probably not going to want to, at least. So this could be good maybe in a deck like that, where you don't actually want to dump your hand, but you still need to draw into important resources. You'll probably have a huge hand size to be able to draw cards with. So I could see this being good maybe in that deck, but you know, our draw options are already pretty solid, guys. We have Bruno, Research, Marnie. I don't know why I mentioned Bruno before Research and Marnie, but either way, we even still have other things like Erica's Hospitality, etc. So Caitlyn, I'm skeptical of how good this card's going to be. It didn't really see play when it originally got printed, and I don't expect a whole lot to really change either, especially since the current supporter pool is so similar to the supporters that were popular back then as well. All right, so we have Agatha. Move 3 damage counters from your active to your opponent's active. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. I mean, we have Grimsley already, which does kind of a similar effect here. And Grimsley has seen, like, fringe play. It has popped up in some decks at the competitive level. So there is a chance for Agatha as well. It's whatever. All right, so we have Peonia. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm hoping I didn't butcher that. But choose up to 3 of your prize cards, put them into your hand, then place the same number of cards from your hand face down as prize cards. Okay, this is actually a cool card. This is, you know, I was complaining back when Battle Styles came out about how the Durant that we just got is not nearly as good as the old Durant for a variety of reasons. But one of those is because mill decks right now actually don't really have a great way at manipulating their prize cards. We don't have something like Rotom decks or Gladion in the format to manipulate your prize cards, or like Town Map even. So this is actually going to really help decks like that, or control archetypes if they prize key resources. This is actually really solid. Again, this is probably only going to come up in very select decks, guys, but it's going to be really good in those sort of control archetypes. So thumbs up. Probably not a card I'm going to end up playing, but I'm sure those decks are going to be excited for this. Okay, so we have Seabold, a Rapid Strike supporter. Choose up to 2 of your Rapid Strike Pokemon. Heal 60 from each of them. That can be relevant. It's kind of okay. I mean, we have Cheryl. That kind of does, I think, the same thing in a lot of cases, but Cheryl heals all of your damage. Because more than likely, you'd be considering this for something like an Urshifu deck. I just had to imagine. I mean, it's kind of just Pokemon Center Lady. Not crazy about this card. All right, so we have Old Cemetery. Love the art on this, very spooky. Whenever a player attaches an energy from hand to one of their Pokemon, excluding Psychic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Okay, so it's kind of like a, what's the card? Oh, it's kind of like Frozen City. But obviously back then, it excluded Team Plasma Pokemon. This could definitely be annoying for Welder decks in particular, because they're going to Welder 2, take 4 damage counters, then attach 1 for turn. So this is actually kind of cool if you're annoyed with Welder decks running around right now. Could also just be a good stadium for like Dragapult decks. Could definitely see that. That would actually be pretty good. So yeah, Old Cemetery. This is another really good stadium. I really like this a lot. Not sure what deck I'm going to be throwing it into, but I definitely see a world where this thing pops up. both in Psychic decks like Dragapult and other decks that just want to get extra damage in play, like on your Spirit Tombs as an example. And of course, to go with the new Single Strike energy, we have a new Rapid Strike energy as well. Same thing, it provides an energy of any type, but this one can't be paralyzed. So marginal improvement over Aurora energy, but you know, nothing too groundbreaking, but you know, we'll take it. I'm perfectly happy having this card in the format. And then from there, we have one other special energy to round out this set. It's gonna be Lucky Energy. So if the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active and is damaged by an opponent's attack, draw one card. So, I mean, this is kind of okay. It's kind of like draw energy. The downside is you have to wait for your opponent to attack into you. But the trade-off is if you're like a big tanky Pokemon VMAX and your opponent attacks into you multiple times, then you can get repeated use out of this, whereas draw energy is just kind of like a one and done. I probably would prefer draw energy just because it helps you there immediately and that can help get you set up a little bit better. I mean, it's kind of okay. I'm not a big fan of it, but hey, we'll take it, guys. And with that, guys, we are finally at the end of our look at the Silver Lance and Jet Black Spirit sets. So again, my initial thoughts here, I think for these sets are that they are overall kind of average, but with a couple of really big standout cards. Like both of the Calyrex cards, I think are solid, especially the Psychic one. I think the Psychic support in general is probably my favorite thing about this set. So not only the Calyrex, but of course the Celia, the Fog Crystal, the water one also solid as well. Trying to think, a lot of the other stuff was honestly a little bit average, of course, with a couple of exceptions, but let me know what you guys are thinking, guys. Obviously, those are going to be the things I am most looking forward to. And also, just to reiterate, these are just my first impressions of the set. I am going to be doing a much more in-depth full set review a little bit closer to the full Chilling Reign release. That's going to be it today, guys. Of course, if you did enjoy today's content, remember to smack that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. That way you will be up to date whenever my newest video drops. And if you want to take the extra step, you can also become a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg or pick up some merch over at rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.